Hello everybody! Today we'll be talking about shapes in art class. That's right, the good old circle, square, and triangle. You may be thinking, shapes? I know how to draw those shapes, that's really easy. Well, the cool thing about these shapes is you can build upon them and make even more exciting shapes and even make real life objects like cars and people and trees and anything you can think of is made up of shapes. Oftentimes, in things like trees and um, natural things like animals, you get shapes that are a little bit weird, like this. That's not a triangle, that's not a circle, that's not a square. What is it? Well, I don't think this shape has a name, but it's all about simplification. So this shape's kind of a rounded, if I simplified it, this is almost a sort of triangle that's been rounded out a little bit. Most things you can simplify down. And so let's start with the square. So here's a simple square. One thing we can do is make it longer. So let me erase this edge of it and just make it longer. And what do we get? A rectangle. If we make it taller, it also becomes a rectangle. Like that. um, let's look at the triangle. Here's a basic equilateral triangle. That means all the sides and angles are the same. One thing we can do with the triangle is make one side longer or shorter. Look at that. We can make one side longer than the other. Maybe like that. There's all sorts of different shapes of triangle, but they're all three-sided, three-angled. What can we do with a circle? We can take a circle and we can squish it so it becomes an oval. We can squish it vertically so it becomes an oval that way. In art, we usually call this an ellipse. Well, so what else? Is that the end of class? No, no siree. The next thing we can do is build upon our shapes and make them three-dimensional. So what do I mean by that? Well, we can take a square and make it into a cube. So a cube is something like a dice or a die that you play Yahtzee with. A cube could be, if we stretch it out, it becomes kind of a shoebox shape. So let's first draw a cube. So with a cube, what we need is this. This is the front facing us, and then we need a side. So this is the side going away from us, and this is the top. So there's our cube. Imagine like here's I'll put some dots on it so it looks like a dice. Something like that. There's a cube right there. A dice. Now if I want to rotate that cube, imagine this cube being rotated upwards like this. So I'm kind of rotating it like this. And if that happens, I wouldn't see this top edge anymore, and I would actually see, if I rotated enough, I'd see the bottom start to poke out. So let's draw our front face again. No top edge. And this angle here, this little corner, instead of doing like this, I'm going to go like this. Go down with it, draw this side and the bottom. So now we have this 4, and here's that 5 side, and then maybe a 6 or something here. So I've rotated my cube. If I continue that rotation, Let me make my eraser a little bit bigger. If I continue rotating it, then this side's gonna become the top. The 4, the side with 4 is gonna become the smaller. Let's see, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna rotate it, so now this side that was on the bottom becomes the front face. And this side still stays on the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can rotate it to the right. Let's see what happens. See how to do that. So that would mean that this side we wouldn't see anymore, and you'd start to see this side that's hidden. So what's happening here is we always see 3 sides of a cube. Or sometimes we just see 1 if I'm looking at it straight on, or sometimes 2 if we can't see the top and bottom. But most of the time we're seeing 3 sides, the top and 2 sides, or the bottom and 2 sides. So let's rotate this cube a little bit. So maybe it's like this now. Oh wait, this is about the same. So let's make this side a little bit smaller, this side a little bit bigger. So what I've done here is now here's our 6. Here's this side here, which was, let's do like a 2. And the top you can't really see. So yeah, a cube, it can be drawn in many ways, in many angles. But all you need to do really is draw the face that's facing you, and then just draw some lines off of that. Another way people draw cubes is like this, like a see-through cube. That would be like one square, and then another offset square like this, and then connect the corners of the 2 squares. This is an interesting cube. And then you can erase, you can erase some of these lines to make it more realistic and less see-through. So that's your general cube. What if we extend one side and make it a shoebox shape? So here's a rectangle with a top. All of a sudden we've got a shoebox shape. This could be now a house if we wanted it to. Or it could be a sandwich. Could be all sorts of things. All right, let's go to our triangle. So our humble triangle. If we do a point somewhere, so right here, a dot, and connect that dot to each point of our triangle, all of a sudden we have a pyramid shape. Isn't that cool? Let's try a skinnier triangle. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So this would be something like a what is it? A pyramid shape, like an actual pyramid. Anything pointy usually is triangular in shape, or this could be the tip of a rocket. This could be a studded belt. This could be all sorts of different things. So yeah, the top of a roof. Well, the top of a roof. The cool thing about triangles is you can combine them with a square too. So here's like a rectangle, and then I'm going to put a triangle under it and connect all 4 sides. So now I've got something that's more like a roof shape. Let's go back to our shoebox again and put a roof on it. So here's our shoebox. Now I'm going to put a point here. If I put a point and connect it to all of these, all of a sudden we have a shoebox. Now all I have to do is erase, the areas that you wouldn't see, or I can draw right over them. Draw some slats of the roof. There you go. So here I've combined a pyramid with a cube, or a rectangular cube shape. All right. What's the last simple shape we have is a circle. So what you can do with a circle is a few things. Well, first of all, you could imagine this being a ball, like this. All you have to do is kind of draw a uh, rounded line, like imagine this going around the ball, and another rounded line coming around this way. This is useful when drawing heads, or when drawing um, anything round, or round-ish. Another thing you can do with circles is, well, let's squish it into a cylinder, or into a ellipse, or a squished circle, an oval. And let's put a point up here and connect both sides to this, and all of a sudden, now we have a cone. Let's turn it upside down to make an ice cream cone. Like that. Put some ice cream up here. Yummy! We can also draw two of these squished circles, connect those sides, and all of a sudden we have a cylinder. So this is sort of a combination of a square and a circle, whereas our cone is kind of a combination of a triangle and a circle. So to recap, we have three simple shapes. We have our circle, square, and triangle, which can all turn into three-dimensional shapes, such as a cylinder, a cube, and a pyramid. And they can be combined together to create a cylinder, or a cone, or even a, let's see, when you combine these two together, it becomes a pyramid with a square bottom, like that. So those are our basic shapes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 three-dimensional shapes that we can now put together to make anything you can imagine. Let's try a few things. Here is a tree. So a tree, sometimes we draw it just like this. We draw a trunk, and then we draw a top, and then we're done. The problem with this is it's very flat. How to draw something with a little bit more dimension with it is to imagine this tree as being some of our three-dimensional shapes. So instead of a line for a trunk, let's try drawing a cylinder. Again, a cylinder is an oval and an oval connected, kind of a combination of an oval and a square, a circle and a square. Three-dimension. Imagine something like a can, or here, I'll make it into a coffee mug. There's a coffee mug, or a battery. Oops. A battery like this. Or what else could a cylinder be? There's so many cylinders everywhere around me. Right now I have a canteen in front of me with water coming out. Or a cylinder could be all sorts of things. But right now we're drawing it as a trunk. So here's our trunk. And then instead of just drawing a circle here, let's imagine this whole of the tree is a big sphere, like a ball on top. So we've got a ball on top of a cylinder. So you can see how that's a more advanced version of, here, I'll draw another one. So instead of this, we get, um, I'll try to draw them the same size. Something like this. And why would you want something like this over this? Because now I can alter the edges to make it more like a tree. But now I can think of things like light, like if the light's hitting here, then I can gradually make this side darker and that side lighter in the shape of this circle. I can shade the sphere a little bit better and make a much more three-dimensional shape out of this tree. Now, this isn't necessary for all types of drawings, but for some types of drawings, it's nice to have 3 dimensions. So a tree is a simple shape. Let's go to something a little bit more complex, a rocket. Now see if you can see all the different shapes on this one. Mostly cylinders and cones. So let's see if we can copy this rocket. So there's that big orange part of the rocket. So I'm going to draw a big cylinder like this. And then a cone. So remember, a cone, you just draw a point and then connect the sides. Oops. Might be handy to have your eraser so you can erase some of these lines in the end. Like that one right there. But let's keep them for now. Alright, now I've got a smaller cylinder on the side, so I'm going to draw 2 ovals and connect those. And then there's kind of one over here, connect those. And then there's the actual shuttle area. So I've got the circle here. Maybe it's a little bit lower than that. Let me erase everything behind so we can see what's going on here. Oh, now I've got a triangle and a triangle and another triangle. And then there's little tiny cylinders down here. And even the, I guess these were a bit longer here. Even the flames coming out of the bottom, you could imagine as a shape. Here's an interesting shape too. We got one big circle and then a littler circle where it connects like this. So it's kind of a cone that's been chopped off. And then imagine this is the fire, so let's make it a little wavy on the sides. Erase the part that we shouldn't see. Erase a little bit of that maybe. And there we have a very quickly drawn space shuttle flying up into space. That was a little bit more complex, huh? Let's try something as simple. Let's try that coffee mug I did before. Here's this. Once you get good at it, you don't have to draw just like I did. I didn't draw this back line here. I just did the curve in the front because I'm imagining this being a full circle. But since I don't want this can to be see-through, I don't want to do the back side. Let's see, draw like a Pepsi logo. Okay, and here's a tab. Or I was going to do a coffee cup. But instead of 2 lines like this, what if I made this into a bent cylinder? So that would be like this, and I would imagine this to be kind of rounded, huh? The circles at the ends really kind of help us to achieve that rounded feel, instead of it looking just like 2 lines connected into a square. So this is like a flat version. And you can see how this rounded edge really gives it a 3-dimensional look. Gives gives your drawing a little bit more life. So, there's that. What's one more thing I can draw here? Let's draw a hat. So, a hat, this is a fun one. So, imagine a ball. So, here's our ball. And then imagine it gets cut right here, right down the center. So, what would happen is you're left with a cylinder here, like that. So, essentially, we have a half of a ball cut in half. Imagine like an orange sliced in half or something like that. So that, along with a little bit of a another oval coming off of the lid, that's a nice hat, isn't it? And it took an extra step, but since I started with a cylinder, I'm imagining a more three-dimensional shape than if I just did like this. Since I started with a ball, chopped it in half. Imagine that, like this. Oops. Sorry, my spaceship's in the way. Imagine just like that, and then we got a hat. So you can see how pretty much anything you can think of can be broken down into a shape. Even something like a car, we could start with a simple shape like a box, and then, carve into it like this. Let's see. Maybe we imagine let's see, like, we started with a box, but now I'm going to chomp off that front, and then I'll put on a wheel, so I need not just a circle, but a cylinder. That's two circles connected. One cylinder, two, and then erase there, here, here. Now I've got a car with two cylinders on it. If I put a window here, oops, let's do a big window like here, I would be able to see this back side of this. Like this. Yeah, and this shape, doesn't this funny looking car have a three-dimensionalness to it? Like, you could imagine it riding across my page right now. And that's gonna wrap it up for our shapes today. So in review, we have simple shapes: the circle, the square, the triangle. And with those, we can make them into three-dimensional shapes and further turn them into whatever we want. Give it a try. It's really fun. All right, I'll see you next week.